and welcome back to Good Day. It's something all of us have probably done at one time or another, hopping onto a public Wi-Fi connection for our smartphone, laptop, or other device.
It may not even be a conscious decision to connect to the internet or the unsecured Wi-Fi. Sometimes, though, we do it very deliberately. Think of using that hotel Wi-Fi when you go on a trip. But our tech guru, Tim Gillen with Terrapin Networks, is here to warn us about some of the dangers of that secured or unsecured Wi-Fi. Tim, how are you today? Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Hi, everyone.
Well, before we get into maybe the dangers of this and what you can do to kind of protect yourself and your devices, let's just talk real generically about how common this is, as it seems like it's a daily occurrence really for everybody to just let our device connect to free Wi-Fi, especially as more communities are offering it.
Yeah, it's very common, and it's just never recommended to connect to free Wi-Fi. I mean, ever. You want to think of it that way. And if you do feel the need to connect, you certainly don't want to have it reconnect because you'll get off an airplane, it's just going to reconnect. Go into a particular village, go downtown where they've got some free Wi-Fi or in a park, and it's just going to connect. And it's a really simple, it is the simplest and has been for 25 years or more, the simplest way for someone to get your data and use it in a bad way. And they will, because keep in mind that, or something just to know anyway, is that these kind of attacks are very automated. You can set up a little $30 Pi device, Raspberry Pi device, which are maybe $100. You can stick behind a table in a Starbucks that has an open Wi-Fi and do what's called a man-in-the-middle attack, or an evil twin is the way it's referred to these days, where the city, let's say it's a city park in Cadillac or Traverse City, there's a free Wi-Fi, and the name of that Wi-Fi is Grand Traverse Parks. I just make my own that's also called Grand Traverse Parks, and you'll connect to that first because it's closest. And then once you've done that, I'm in. And so you go out and buy some plane tickets. Think of all the information I've got. You're just spending a few minutes while you're letting the kids run around or the dog run around and look at or you're in a hotel pool where there's dozens of people who are connecting like that. It's a very rich target field, to use that phrase, which is how the bad guys would think of it. And you connect it by just check your email and then click through to something on your bank account because the bank sent you something. All of that's actually legit. But your communication is easy for the bad guy to go out and grab and be able to see everything that's going back and forth. We just had this happen to a customer of ours, kind of very savvy folks, but we're not completely sure where it started, but we think it might have been from a hotel Wi-Fi, which was a very short connection. Anyway, the owner got what's referred to as a list bomb. All of a sudden, his email was filling up with all these, thanks for registering at our store, click here to finish. Thanks for registering to our newsletter, click here to finish. And they were from all over the world. And he was getting thousands of them every 15 minutes.
Wow.
Now, what that's referred to as a list bomb, where they just put this ridiculous amount of information out. You can't filter one thing from another. Not unlike the old, you might have heard about DDoS attacks, distributed denial of service attacks, where CNN.com is taken down, or something like that, a large website by just a flood of connections as a way to take down a website. Common old school attack, and that's very effective. You want to make sure no one gets into the local target, have 5,000 people show up at the front door and mill around. Nobody can get through them. That's exactly how it works. And so this list flood, as soon as he calls me and says, I've got this going on, the thinking is, okay, something's bad happening because someone's trying to obscure that. And that's just what happened. And what happens from these, here's the larger risk for us local, perhaps a small business, is what's called a spear phishing attack. So we're all used to phishing emails. Here's a attachment with this PDF. Here's your UPS invoice. Click here to pay. Think, I didn't order anything from UPS, but you click it to look at it. Don't ever do that. Don't ever click it. But you click that, and that starts in line, people getting access to you. Well, a spearfish is, okay, I'm not going to go right after Bill Freilich. I know that he works at this TV station. I see what his email address is. Because I was able to compromise him from a friend, I'm using you as an example, so work with me here. Because I was able to compromise him from a hotel or coffee shop, I can start realizing who he communicates with. And now I'm going to send an email to Bill, not just some generic email, but to Bill, and try to talk Bill into clicking on something. And that's a spearfish. Now I'm going for one person, not some generic throwing bait off the back of the boat, seeing if a fish comes up, but you.
So Tim,
And what these do is they can invite that kind of attack.
yeah. And so for people who maybe they travel a lot or they do go to a coffee shop to get some work done, what do they do then? Are there other options or other ways to go around it?
Yeah, there's very good options. And one of the best ones is to use your cell phone as a hotspot. That's going to make and then when you set up a hotspot off your cell phone, you make the network name. It'll make one for you, meaning that when you look on your laptop to connect to your cell phone, right, that you'll know what you're connecting to, that you're connecting to your cell phone with a password that you made. That becomes a connection that's actually pretty hard to hack. And same thing if you're in a coffee shop on your cell phone, if you have a strong connection, don't connect to the Wi-Fi to the point that you just quickly turn your Wi-Fi off. It'll want to come back on. It'll remind you of that. Use your cell phone is a fairly safe way of doing that thing. The other thing is to get a VPN. And that's a commercial VPN that you buy. They're roughly $75 to $110 per year. You can put them on all your devices. There's family plans that aren't much more than that where your whole family can. And that will be on your cell phone and on your laptop and on your iPad. There's a VPN, and every connection that you make out to a Wi-Fi is now encrypted. Now there's a little window where they can still get some information while you're connecting, but but they want to connect. They will default themselves to always run through that VPN. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, and what that means is you're taking your laptop, your iPad, your cell phone, and when you connect to that wireless network, you're making what's called a virtual tunnel. Your connection is now all garbled, and it gets encrypted on your side and decrypted on the other side. They're very effective, and highly recommended. Anyone who travels a lot and uses any kind of Wi-Fi connectivity of any kind, in any hotel, even expensive one, with a for-pay Wi-Fi, should be using a VPN. ExpressVPN, Nord, N-O-R-D VPN. Norton has one. Proton has one. There's a lot of them out there that are very reliable and work very well, and highly recommended. They're not very expensive.
Tim,
highly recommended.
Yeah, we are out of time, Tim, but let me just have you real short answer. Is it best then to just, go off your data and, be willing to pay that extra fee if you've got to use your data, or just not use the Wi-Fi at all unless you've got a VPN? Again, real quick answer if you could.
I'd go with both. I would only I would pay the money and use your data, and or always use a VPN.
Got it. Tim Gillen, Tim Gillen, Terrapin Networks. Thanks so much for being with us as always.
Tim.
Good to have you on Tech Tuesday, Tim.